As I always started off, to God be the glory. To have this opportunity to come out, compete, and play the game we all love. You know, we got to give all praise and thanks to the big man upstairs. So, also like these guys, man, I'm really proud of this group because sometimes these games are really tough games mentally because guys are so ready to get home and get to Christmas break that they're not where their feet are, and then a team comes in, gets confidence, and we lose a game that we all are capable of winning. So I'm really proud of these guys for having the fortitude to stick to it, be where their feet are, and come out and perform at a high level today.
We'll open it up for questions for the players.
Because, Sean, you had a really good.
Casey.
My bad. Casey. My bad. You had a great start to the second half. You had 3 scores off Chris Youngblood's assists.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about what you guys had going on there, you know, offensively at that moment.
Oh yeah, coach was on me at halftime about starting with defense first. So first, I started off putting that in my head that we got to get stops, and that's going to create our offense and our energy. And coach drew up some good plays for Chris to make some good passes to me, and we just executed.
Anything else for the players?
I mean, yeah, I'm curious about as you played into the second half defensively, the team, it allowed only like 2 field goals, I think, the last 9 minutes. Talk about your defensive execution in that point.
Just taking pride on the defensive end, man. The numbers was really high during the halftime. We got at halftime, talked about it. How can we do better? It was just like a toughness thing, man. They was getting everything they wanted. Shooting good from the field. We had a little huddle. I think they had scored, but we had a little huddle. Like, we got to cut their water off. That's our saying. So we just took it personally after that and just being more aggressive, not being laid back on our feet, man. So that's what we got to continue to do every game, really. Not let the game do our defense. Like, we got to play our defense.
It got chippy towards the end of the game. We started to get back and forth. How do you guys hold that composure? When you guys are in the heat of the moment, you're like, I just want to get the victory, but how you guys hold it? Both of you?
Most likely, just look over the coach. We don't really see ourselves, so we just end the game. But coach will make sure you call emotional maturity. So once he say emotional maturity, man, you already know what time it is. It's time to lock back in. So it's more like that switch, emotional maturity. Boom, switch back into that game mode. Because, it might get chippy, it might get physical, but like when you got people watching, you got people care for you, man, you're gonna really listen to them and change your attitude.
For sure.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny, we're winning, I don't know what you're talking about. So for me, I was laughing off, look at the scoreboard, keep it simple. We next play, and come on, we gonna win.
Really.
Anything else for the players?
Well, I want to make sure before I'm going to answer however many questions y'all got, ask them all. But the one thing I want to make sure I say is this about this group. Since June, we've been talking about creating habits that match. Habits on the court, habits off the court. They have to match. And it's a few areas we start in. We start in the weight room. Cody DeQuist has done a great job, establishing those habits. But the area that's always the challenge, because it's really them, it's hey, how much do you care about yourself, your performance, is the classroom. And we challenge them. We create academic teams. Each assistant coach has a group of 2 or 3 guys. And we finished this semester with a 3.18 team GPA. That's Jessica Larson and Joel Rome doing a great job of making sure our guys are prepared and organized. That's our assistant coaches making sure that their academic teams are, on top of the work they have to do. But it's also our guys taking a real care, a personal care to themselves, right? Because I say it all the time, like, man, I think about this all the time. How can you care and want to be a good player, right, and care about improving as a player, but not care about improving as a person, right? And getting, learning, seeking knowledge. And for us to perform the way we performed this semester in the classroom, I'm really, really proud of this group. Again, it doesn't matter if it was the highest or whatever, but to finish with a 3.18 team GPA this semester, we finished on a 4-game winning streak. to close this deal out, those habits are starting to match. And now we got to, like I said to him the other day, you going to rest on the fact that you did it, for a half, or you going to go finish it with having a great GPA for the year. And I think if those habits continue to match up like I know they will, like these guys are taking real care into it, we'll finish the right way.
You guys have been, like you said, 4-game winning streak. From when I saw you guys in Florida State to now, it seems like everything is starting to like gel together.
Yeah.
And start. What can you accredit that to? Just like exactly what you just said.
Yeah, it's habits, but it's it's an identity, but more importantly than an identity, it's a vision, right? I think these guys are starting. They talk about it more. Before Florida, or as we were playing Florida State the night before, we talked about someone having a vision for themselves. Like normally when you have a vision for yourself, whatever that vision is, your decisions will be made based off that vision, right? The choices you make are made off that vision. And so that night before Florida State, they have up on the board in the locker room, they have team goals. And I told them, I said, how often are we talking about them? And yeah, we hadn't talked about them in a while. Well, look, you got to talk about it. I tell them all the time. We're trying to build men. And how can we equate the game to life? And I tell them all the time, my wife is sitting back there. She might frown up when I say this, but I told them that night before Florida State, I said, all you guys are going to be a husband one day. You're going to be a father one day. And you're going to have to make time to sit down with your wife and talk about where we are as a family. What do we need to get done before a year's end? What do we want to do as we go into the next year, right? It's the same thing. But look, you can talk about it going into the new year, but you better talk about it again around Valentine's Day or 4th of July or something, all right? Because if not, a lot gets lost in context. So they've gelled together more during this break. They don't have class. All they really have is each other. And so they're talking about their goals a lot more. They're more connected, and that's what's led to this 4-game win streak.
Coach, defensively, you guys held them scoreless from the field for like 6 minutes and 5 seconds. And then early in the second half, when you kind of got your separation, they were like 1 of 8
Right.
from the floor. Just talk a little bit about what your message was at halftime, because they shot 60%.
Yeah, and so when we went in the locker room, I wrote on the board 61%, and I think it was 40. What did they shoot from the three in the first half? And 50%. It was 61 and 50. And I just simply said to them, guys, if you look at these numbers, like, would you say, like, obviously, what would you say? What does that say about our defense? And they go, no ball pressure, not disruptive, no support. Like they said it. And I said, well, guys, if we know what the problem is, we have to go fix it. And, man, if they didn't do a great job of fixing it, because to hold that team to 27% in the second half, 18 from 3, man, that's a really good team. They average about 75 a game, and as I said to the guys, you still held them 2 points below their season average. But imagine if we put together 2 halves where, and again, I thought making shots early, we kind of lost our identity of, we thought that we were up because we were scoring. No, we were up because we were getting stops and then scoring, But just like any good team, they see the ball go in, that confidence builds, And so, but again, I'm really proud of our response because as I've said this before, the season is about growth, right? If we were as good as we're going to be right now, I'll be scared, right? We're getting better. We're growing. They're learning more about themselves. I'm learning more about them and where I can make adjustments. So I was really proud of their response.
Coach, the productivity off your bench is strong. I mean, it's noticed throughout the country. Brandon Stroud, 12 points, 12 boards in about 19 minutes.
Yeah.
Talk about him and then other players you had that made it work.
Yeah, like Brandon, I thought Brandon got back to being Brandon. And this is normal. It's not a knock on him. I think sometimes when you from your sophomore to your junior year, what do they call it, sophomore slump or whatever it is. But Brandon's, you know, really his his junior year was last year. Like, he's a senior, obviously, but he had a really good year, defensive player of the year. And so now what happens? Well, you want more. You want not to just be defensive player of the year. You want to do it on offense too, right? And as I said to him a number of times, Brandon, you've been really good offensively because you've been engaged defensively. Today, you know, to get 12 rebounds, 6 of them offensive, and then he got a steal in the passing lane, and then he got to the basket. He played strong off 2. So he just got back to being himself. I don't think he was concerned with the offensive side of the ball today as much as he was focused on just being Brandon Stroud. And then after that, it's the beauty of our team. You know, we have been bringing Selton Miguel off, who, guys, he's a starter. All right, let's just call it what it is. He's a starter, but he's accepted the role of, hey, I told him, I said, I need you to be, you know, Lou Williams, you know. And the guys hear that, and they're like, oh, Lou Will? Okay, yeah. You know, and he's done a great job of that. But today he starts, you know, and does the same thing, 4 assists, you know, to go along with his 12 points. But I thought, again, Brandon gave us good minutes. JR gave us good minutes. Gerald, David, they gave us good minutes. They didn't necessarily make an impact in the scoring column, but they gave us really good minutes. So, again, this team is deep, and when we're connected and defending, we're really good.
Anything else for Coach?
Maybe one more.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I ain't in a rush.
Well, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
When you guys were, you know, have 5 guys in double scoring, and it seemed like in the first half you guys started knocking down the 3,
Yep.
40% at one point,
Yep.
and then it kind of went into a little slump.
Yeah.
Was the message to, hey, let's get to the basket, let's follow it in.
It was just don't settle,
Yeah.
right? If we all went back, if we could pull it up right here, if we watched the threes that we made early on, they all came off paint touches. They all came off good ball movement, body movement, guys driving it and kicking it. Well, then what happens is you see it go in the hole a couple times, and I think Chris Youngblood took one where he was just kind of standing there, shoots it. Kobe Knox shoots one, and somebody else shoots another one, somebody else shoots another one. It's like, guys, don't settle. Keep the tempo. Keep the tempo that created those rhythm, because that's what it is. It was rhythm threes versus non-rhythm threes. And if we shoot rhythm threes, we're pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
for sure.
Yeah.